A new strategy to pass the stimulus package as quickly as possible. And President Biden vowed $1 billion today for a new initiative. I have all the details for you in this video. And what one prominent doctor is saying about the surging cases of COVID right now and what we can expect over the coming weeks. I have all those details plus more updates for you in this video, so let's get into it right now. But if you haven't done so yet, or if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video so you can join the fastest growing advocacy group right here on YouTube, which is this channel right here. I'm here for you every single day right by your side with all the latest updates so that you can stay tuned with everything going on and ultimately maintaining my commitment to you and this community as a whole to help you out in any way that I possibly can throughout this incredibly confusing and difficult time. So again, thank you so much for your support. I truly do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button right down below the video if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into this right now. All right, one quick side note, make sure to continue watching for the shout out winners in this video and for today. The list of shout out winners will continue to change every single day, so make sure to continue staying tuned to see if you are one of those lucky people, and congratulations in advance. All right, let's get into this and talk about what's going on as of right now. So lawmakers are actually examining all the different ways that they can get the Build Back Better agenda and all of the provisions within it passed as quickly as possible. They're starting to realize that this $1.75 or possibly $2.2 trillion stimulus package may not actually pass in its lump sum bill as it's stated right here, right now. So they're starting to figure out what can we do to strategize to get as much of this passed as quickly as possible. So they're coming up with a variety of different ideas. On one hand, we have a couple lawmakers that are coming out saying the president can sign everything into law through executive order. Well, that's still up in the air right now. Yes, for sure, some of the provisions could be through executive order, but there are some of them that do actually need to be passed by Congress and actually done through that process. However, there's other people that are coming out saying, hey, let's have all these different strategies. Number one, we could lump all of these together, which whatever cannot be passed through executive order, we could just lump those together in a smaller revised bill. Next, we could pass that through reconciliation. Next, anything that can be passed through executive order, we can just have the president sign it through executive order, and boom, we've got it done. And next, we can actually push through the rest of the portions and the provisions through bipartisan. So they have all these different strategies in which they think they could break this bill up and start pushing them through individually as their own standalone bills. Yes, some of them could be done through bipartisan support because there are a couple provisions that may actually get bipartisan support. So they thought, let's break it out and do those that way. Anything that can be done through executive order, let's just write it up, get it done as quickly as possible. And then those other ones through the reconciliation, they would lump together in a much smaller scaled down bill, and they think that this could be the strategy. So there's a lot of different ideas out there right now because lawmakers are finally starting to realize that maybe this $2 trillion bill might be too much to just lump off at one time here and actually get done all together in one big swoop. So they're thinking, let's just break it up, and this might be the ticket to get all of this done as quickly as possible. So now that they're back in session here and they're back to work within the new year, they're trying to figure out how they can get this bill done as quickly as possible. So again, we'll have to continue watching that very closely and see what happens, but don't worry, I'll keep you updated as we get those updates. Also today, President Biden is vowing $1 billion for meat processors. So here's what's actually happening. As we recognize, over the last year or so, meat products, beef, pork, chicken, bacon, things like this, have gone up significantly in price, like 20 or more percent, just over the last year or so. So basically what President Biden is saying is that there's been anti-competitive practices going into effect by just a handful of small producers. Therefore, they're driving up the price of meat products. Well, maybe it's that, or maybe it's just supply and demand because people have, there's a lot more money floating around out there, and inflation is just driving up prices. Whatever it happens to be, prices are going up, and all of us recognize that, and unfortunately, all of us are also feeling that for anybody who is purchasing those items. So the president is actually vowing $1 billion to actually bring in more like anti-competitive practices to actually go against these so that going into the future, we can actually have more competition in this arena. So there's more competition out there when it comes to meat products, meat packaging, things like this, and ultimately that would drive down the price. So right now, it's kind of like what they're saying is this is a monopoly. That's not really a monopoly. I guess you could possibly say it is, but it's not. Because a monopoly would be made up of just like one or two producers, but rather there's more than that. But basically what they want to do is break this up a little bit so that there's more competition, and as we know, more competition means drives the price down when it comes to, situations like this, because that just means more supply being put onto the market, and as we know, more supply means an overload of supply drives demand either lower or drives prices lower, right? So you need a lot more demand to drive up all that supply or eat up all that supply. So in other words, that would actually push prices a little bit lower. So we'll have to see. And again, this is probably something that's going to take probably several months to actually start rolling out and actually implement it, but we'll have to see what happens. And even if it allows a little bit of a reprieve in meat prices going forward over the coming year, that certainly would be pretty nice, right? It certainly would help out a lot of people going forward. All right, let's quickly talk about what one prominent doctor is saying about this surge in COVID cases and what we could actually be experiencing over the coming weeks. Now, when I say weeks, I'm pretty much referring to about 4 to 6 weeks or so. That's what they were actually citing in this information that I was actually reading about this. So, Dr. Michael Osterholm, he is one of the advisors on President Biden's advisory board for the COVID advisory board. Now, he was actually saying that this COVID blizzard, right? He's referring to it as a COVID blizzard. He's basically just saying that this is going to spread so quickly that this is going to disrupt everyday life. Not just at like hospitals and things like this, but rather it's going to disrupt life at grocery stores, pharmacies, warehouses, trucking, everything across the board. Because what's going to happen is so many people are going to get infected that they're going to need to take a couple days off work, right? 5 days, possibly more. They've reduced the time frame down to 5 days. But maybe after 5 days, people are still feeling a little bit sick or not feeling so well, and maybe they need a few more days off than just 5. Therefore, so many people are going to be out of work that it's just going to disrupt like all of our lives to some degree across all industries, right? They also went on to cite the airline industry. If you've been watching for about a week now, for the last week or so, I've been back almost every single day saying, hey, look at this. Another 2,000 flights have been canceled today. 3,000 flights have been canceled today. Every single day I'm coming back telling you thousands of flights are canceled. And we're seeing that in the airlines. However, as I've also been saying for a week and a half, 10 days now, I've also been saying you got to watch this very closely because it's going to translate into other sectors of the economy. And that's exactly what Dr. Michael Osterholm is also saying right here with these statements is this is going to impact everybody to some degree because there's going to be a lot of people out of work. And there's also a little bit of fears out there that maybe there might be more restrictions coming in or possibly even closures just because if you don't have the employees and the people to actually kind of man the ship, right? You don't have the people out there to operate the businesses, they would have to close down, right? So, and that's kind of what we're seeing with the airlines as well. The reason that the airlines are canceling so many flights every day is not because the airplanes don't work. It's because they work totally fine. It's just they don't have the personnel. There's so many personnel that are out of work right now. They don't have the crews to actually service all of these planes. That's why they're canceling flights. So that's what's actually going to happen here going forward. Now, again, this is just what's being predicted. I'm not the doctor here. I'm not the guy predicting all this. I'm simply telling you what I'm finding with my research. And all of this would seem to make sense based on what we've seen previously in history, right? So again, we'll have to watch that very closely. And according to another report that I found, it's estimated that there are 2,500 schools across the country right now that are being canceled. Well, what I should say is canceled for in-person learning, and it's all resorting to virtual learning. And by schools, I mean, it could be elementary, middle, high schools, colleges, all of these schools, just schools, whatever's within that umbrella. So they're saying 2,500 across the country. That's a lot, right? So anyway, we could be in this for a couple more weeks here. And according to Dr. Fauci just the other day, he said that we could be seeing this peak sometime in late January. Well, that's like 4 weeks from right now, right? So 3-4 weeks from right now. So we have a lot of time here, and a lot of things are going to continue progressing. By the way, over the weekend, Florida added another 85,000 cases just over the weekend. So a lot of big numbers coming out right now. And there's been a lot of different things going on out there as far as hospitalizations and hospitals filling up and, different medical procedures being postponed or even elective surgeries being canceled, things like that. So a lot of interesting stuff that's going on, interesting in probably not such a good way, but we have to watch this very closely because you know what? I've been saying this for a while now. This is going to impact all of us, which is why we need to watch it very closely. Even if we're not worried about it or think that there's nothing going to come about it, we've still got to watch it because ultimately, if our grocery store closes down and we need to go, well, that's going to impact us, right? That's why you got to watch this. So anyway, you don't need to do the research. Have no fear. I'll do it for you each and every day. So again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video. Feel free to share this video or go back and check out any of the other 2,000 videos right here on the channel. And with that being said, I'm going to bring Corey in and she will read that list of shout out winners for today's video. And thanks again for being part of the membership club. And by the way, Corey, take that away. And tomorrow, the shout out winners will change and there'll be a whole new list coming right in. So Corey, take it away and I'll see you again later. See ya.
We'd like to give a shout out to Sherry Bledsoe, Maria Grindstaff, Tess Ann Riggs, Nadine Skidmore, Patricia Danko, Kathleen Ingram, Rebecca Quinn, and Michelle Wright. Thank you so much for being in the fan club.